Welcome to the unraveling of the deep wisdom behind some of Africa's finest proverbs. And today we're looking at a proverb that says, you must attend to your business with the merchants in the market and not the noise of the market. Or if you prefer, we can say, if you go to the market, you must ensure that your dealings in the market is with the people doing business in the market and not the noise in the market. And trust me when I tell you that if you stick around, the wisdom behind this proverb can help you refocus your attention to the things that truly, really matter in life. And I'd also like to relate it to the Nigerian situation because it's a bit difficult for me to think of any other example than the thing that played out in the recent NSAS movement. And in case you're not interested in the Nigerian situation, trust me, there are tips in this video that would help you in your life's journey. So I doubt that there is anybody under the sun who has never had the experience of a market before. And when I say market, I'm talking about a real market, not a gentleman market where people just walk around gently, no noise, you have people who direct you. No, I'm talking about a real market where people shout you down, shout you up, drag you literally by the hand to buy their products. That's the kind of market I'm talking about. And if you've ever been to one of such, you'd agree with me that it's extremely easy, it's very, very easy to get distracted, to get carried away and end up buying something that maybe you never considered buying. Of course, it depends on the kind of people, people you meet in the market. There are people who have this kind of, can sweet talk you into buying things that you never considered buying. Yes, so it is important that in this marketplace of life, that we at all time get tips that would help us to keep our attention on the things that truly matter. Or in the words of somebody I respect a lot, he says to avoid the detours to destiny, as in the distractions on your way to your destiny or the place you have proposed in your heart or in your mind to get to. So, having said that, the best example I can think about is what transpired in the End SARS movement that happened recently in Nigeria, where the whole movement started with something very interesting. Everybody focused, trying to put a demand on the leadership to effect some necessary changes, and everything was working out fine. And then suddenly, people started responding to the noise of the marketplace of that movement. Some for the noise of hunger, frustration, and poverty, resorted to looting and the destruction of the very basic infrastructure that we are clamoring for. Some, responding to the noise of ethnicity, tribe, and religion, started drumming and dancing to different tunes. Some, to the noise of secession and all the other selfish ideas, started resorting to all forms of selfishness. And some, as a result of ignorance and, chronic, I think chronic is the right word, yeah? Chronic ignorance and myopic thinking allowed themselves for, the noise of peanuts and pitants to be used as attack dogs to attack peaceful protesters. And so the end, I believe, is history, or who knows, some other things might come out of it. But the long and short of what I'm saying is something very good started, and then people got carried away by the noise, the distractions, and look where we are. So by noise in this particular proverb, what we're talking about is not like unwanted sound, the usual noise. We're talking about distractions, those things that would not directly impact on your journey to that place you have proposed in your heart to get to, or if you prefer, destiny. Those things that will not have a direct impact on them, or might even have negative impact on your journey of life. Your journey in life is what we refer to as noise. And so you must at all times refocus yourself to the things that truly matter. Now, every time I think of that NSAS movement and everything that has happened so far, I just can't help but, so many things going through my mind. And I've been able to, write a poem that I think captures not just the NSAS movement, but also things beyond that. Because, of course, the electioneering season is around the corner, and people are beginning to position themselves, for political offices. The whole political, electioneering gong and everything has started going off all across the country. And so I have written a poem that I think captures everything that I would like to say. And I'll just quickly, read that poem to us. And in case you're not interested in the Nigerian situation, just stick around. There are tips in this video or in this proverb that would help you in your life's journey. Now that I see returnees threatening to the camp and the campees threatening to return, I can certainly say that the exorcism about which I dreamt is real, and the scale over my mind is truly gone. Now that umbrellas tightly closed are tied in bunches as brooms, and brooms neatly weaved and knit creatively as umbrellas, I can certainly say that it was never about me. Now that those who yesterday stood for truth and fought for us now stand against us fighting the truth, I can certainly say who the real enemies are. Now that issue-based campaign simply means reasons why Yorubas, Igbos, Hausas, Christians, Muslims must vote only theirs, I can certainly say that living in peace and harmony will render irrelevant those upon whom we look for peace. Now that the systemic failure under which we now writhe and the gross darkness in which we now grow up are clearly the merchandise that guarantees the relevance of those upon whom we look, I can certainly say that we have all this while gotten it all wrong. Now that leadership potentials, no matter how glaring, must first earn some millions with which to buy party tickets, party principals, and its principles, I can certainly say why passing the test of millions rather than cultivating the selfless virtues of true leadership is for the younger generation the thing to do by all means. Now that rebrand Nigeria has been mistaken for rebrand Justicia, such that her blindfold may now be removed and her sword and scale may now change hands depending on where your loyalty lies, I can certainly say that the last hope of the masses is almost gone. Now that the assurance of friendship that used to come with the sight of that red eagle riding an elephant is now nothing but a reminder of a friend we used to have, I can certainly say that indeed the last hope of the masses is gone. Now that our quadrennial chance of political quarantine must only be overseen by their appointees, I can certainly say that even the books from which we should learn our rights were written by they who stand against whatever we think should be our rights. Now, with a true resolve to take back what is rightly ours, I can certainly see that the place to begin is to know for sure who the real enemies are. Now that we know those with whom we have been expecting the promise of a better tomorrow, and we see from a distance those who, while living the promise, simply use us as guinea pigs to teach their children practical ways of keeping the lies alive, we must embrace our true friends and unite against our true and our common enemies. We must know those with whom we sat on hard rocks under scorching sun in roofless classes, exchanging famished smiles as we try to relax our brains from arduous cram of expired knowledge. We must know those with whom we struggle for floor spaces in stinking general hospitals where we must lie and wait for one frustrated doctor who, when it eventually gets to our turn, would try to explain to us how tied their hands are. We must know those against whom we bruise our sweat-drenched, dusty bodies, trying to hop and meander through potholes our fathers were promised by the leaders of their fathers would soon be fixed. We must know those with whom we passed our times in stinking prison houses and police cells discussing how foolish we were to think that acting right or telling the truth would have in any way vindicated us. We must know those with whom we endured the rigor and humiliation of aptitude tests and screening exercises that were simply staged to prove to us that their children are so intelligent they would even pass without taking the tests. We must know that those we almost killed some years ago protecting our brooms and umbrellas are as hungry today as we are. And the umbrellas and brooms we all violently protected some years ago are no longer as distinct. We must, with this knowledge, emancipate ourselves from mental slavery, not by bows and arrows that would certainly fail before the military might of our enemies, not by eloquent words in social platforms that would simply drown in the ocean of professional pieces by the numerous image makers our enemies can buy. Not even by knowledge in its present form, as structured by our slave masters to keep us in perpetual slavery. We must put our voter's card to the use, not for which it was created, but for which we have by this exorcism discovered it can be. My voter's card is to my enemies merely my prize. It is to them a means to size themselves up and brag about how many of us they can afford. But now I can certainly see that my voter's card and not the law is the last hope of the masses. Now that the bid for our conscience is on and the hunger to cloud my humanity is fierce, I must remember that the proceeds from the sale of my conscience can hardly last a lifetime, and even if it does, would not in any way make up for the humiliation and dehumanization that await my children of all children's children in another man's country when there's no more one to call theirs. I've said it, a word they say is enough for the wise. You must put your voter's card to the use, not for which it was intended, but for which you have by this exorcism discovered it can be. And so, in case the Nigerian thing, or in case I've just bored you to death with the whole, Nigerian situation in the poem, trust me, it's your turn. It's time to talk about life in general. So, attending to the business of the market and not the noise of the market. What exactly do we mean by the noise of the market? By the noise of the market, we mean those things in life that would not have a direct impact or might even have negative effect on your journey in life. You are here and you've made your choice. You've maybe picked some things. And I must actually say maybe, because there are people who don't even know exactly where they're going yet. Like someone puts it, is that there are three categories of people in life. Those who know what they want to achieve and are trying to achieve it. Those who are not sure yet but know they need to do something, and so they are still trying to find out something. And those who are not even aware that they are supposed to be doing something, so they just wake up every day and live like the usual animals and just hope for anything that happens in the day. But in case you are lucky to be among those who have found what you want to do with your life, the proverb here is saying that you have to get, at all times, you have to discover and know how to stay focused on those things. And there are loads of resources out there that can help us to maintain our focus when it comes to these issues. One I find very interesting is something I discovered very early in life, where I learned that you could write your vision and make it plain, that he may run that read it. What that actually means is you should write your vision boldly and clearly, so clearly that even someone who is running would be able to see and understand it. That's what that means. So I read early in one of those books I read, I used to read those days, that you could write your vision in clear words, place it somewhere where you see it every day. A good place would be just in front of your toilet seat. So I don't know, but I think everybody goes to the toilet at least once a day. So when you sit on that toilet seat, where you are looking at, place that vision there so you can see it. Or if you don't go to the toilet every day, then I would recommend, at least I know you sleep every day. So just place it over your head somewhere. So when you lie down, where you look at, place it there. So when you wake up, that's the first thing you see in the morning. And so you keep yourself in, constant reminder of what you're supposed to be focused on. So that way, if other things come your way, it's easy for you to just push them aside. There are several other things you could use. There are day planners, writing your to-do list and sticking to it. There are life planners. And in fact, something as basic as Outlook, Microsoft Outlook, can help you, focus on the things that truly matter for every day. But what I intend to talk about in this video is not any of these things that I'm sure you've heard about before. It's something that I coined, a phrase that I coined by myself, and it simply says that you should discover your own useful noise. Someone will be like, useful noise? Is there any such thing as useful noise? Yes, there is such thing as useful noise, especially in my own world, and that's something I've been using and it works for me. By useful noise, I'm talking about something that doesn't have a direct impact, either positive or negative, on your set objectives, those things you intend to do. So for instance, you are a master's or an undergraduate student or a PhD student. I don't know what stage you are. Maybe you are preparing for exams. What you should be doing at that time is reading your book if you are preparing for an exam, right? Now, any other thing apart from reading from your book might not have a direct impact on that, but there are things that would put you in the best frame of mind or position you for peak performance. Those are the kind of things I refer to as useful noise. Example would be mindfulness activities like yoga, meditation, listening to music that helps you think. There are some kind of music you listen to and it makes you feel like you're insane. But there are music you listen to that brings your mind down, helps you relax, helps you think far. Now, these are the kind of things I mean by useful noise. The truth is, let me not say forget, you may have taken some of the motivational materials you've come across out of context. When they tell you to make every minute count, the writer assumes that you know that some minutes should actually count for you unwinding. And by unwinding, I have picked that carefully, because if you've ever used that, toy car that we used to have when we were kids, where you wind the car and then when you drop it, it moves, and when it unwinds fully, you have to pick it up and wind it again. That's my perfect illustration of how life works. So when you're walking, what you're doing is you're winding yourself. It gets to a point where you can no longer move. You can no longer be productive. You need to unwind. And the way to unwind is to do something that is not directly related to what you or some people would call work. It could be a fun time with friends on a weekend. It could be a movie. It could be, only you can truly tell what truly would be your useful noise. And note that some of the noise or some of the things you do now that you think might be positively, what might be relevant to where you're going or your vision, at some point in your life might simply become noise. I know someone who said, spending time on Facebook is good. Trust me, it's very good. But at one point in her life, she realized that Facebook was coming in between her and her thesis. What did she do? She, disabled her account and abandoned Facebook for a while. So what that meant was that Facebook, that was originally useful and good, became a noise. So she had to get rid of it at that point. And so you should be able to look at yourself and know that thing that helps you to unwind, helps you, and look for a way of walking it into your daily routine, walking it into your life. Because whether you like it or not, the only time you will stop being distracted as a human being is when you stop being a human being. So when you become a deity or a superhuman, maybe then you can stop being distracted. You are not, by design, humans are not meant to focus on something and just stay there forever. Humans are meant to be distracted. And if you don't create your own distraction, no matter the motivational books you read, no matter the tools that you use, the planners and everything you use, life will actually assign you distractions that might impact negatively on what you're doing. So in order to avoid distractions or noise that would impact negatively on your life, you need to invent your own useful noise that, although might not impact directly on your life or on your journey, on your goal, on your vision, but will definitely position you in the best frame of mind for peak performance. That's what I mean by useful noise. Allow yourself at some point to just, drift away to a useful place and then return recharged. So thank you very much for sticking around till the end. I truly appreciate that you're watching, and I believe that you have subscribed already. But if you've not, please do that now. Also, like and share so that this video can go everywhere and reach other people that will also benefit from the video. So thank you, and see you in the next video.